The 2022 Major League Baseball season saw quite a lot of high moments. The Seattle Mariners having made the postseason for the first time since 2001. The Philadelphia Phillies making the postseason for the first time since 2011. Aaron Judge tying the American League home run record. Albert Pujols hitting his 700th home run. Miguel Cabrera with his 3,000th hit. But it wasn't all positive moments here in 2022 for all teams in Major League Baseball. So today on this video, we're going to look at the 5 most disappointing teams of 2022. Let's get into it. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And as I said in the open, the 5 teams that we're going to be discussing today on this particular video were the most disappointing of this 2022 season. And we begin with number 5. Now, the 5th most disappointing team, in my opinion, was the Detroit Tigers. I don't think that anyone really expected the Tigers to be a true competitor, but when you make moves like bringing in Eduardo Rodriguez and Javier Baez, you're expected to be able to compete just a little bit better than what you did the previous season. I think that the Tigers had a lot of ineffectiveness and inefficiency from some of their young players who were given a predominant starting role. I think that for the Tigers, this was a very good growing season though, and in 2023, I expect them to be a whole lot better. I think that there was also regression from a guy like Javi Baez that will hopefully in the future no longer give him those same kind of setbacks. I think that for the Tigers, there's going to be a lot to like as you head into the future, but this was just a down year. As we look at the number 4 team on my list, it is the Texas Rangers. Now, just like the Tigers, I don't think anyone really expected the Rangers to compete at the top of their division. But when you spend nearly $500 million on 2 players in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, you expect a little bit more return on your investment. Now, yes, both Seager and Semien had solid years for the Texas Rangers, but when you put that much in payroll into just 2 players, it's going to be hard to fill out the rest of the roster. It's going to be interesting to see how the Rangers approach this coming off season and how much more they look to add to be able to fill seats in that brand new ballpark with this current team. Now, as we look at the 3rd team on my list, it is that of the Minnesota Twins. Now, Minnesota was going to be one of the better teams in the division. However, they weren't able to really hold that off and be able to head back to the postseason. They would also go out and spend big time money on Carlos Correa. Now, while the way the deal is structured would make you think that it could be at least a 3-year deal, Correa has an opt-out, which makes it even more questionable as to the season that the Twins had if they're going to be able to maintain this very high-priced shortstop and be able to really solidify themselves as a threat in that American League Central, a division that, in my opinion, is a little bit weaker compared to the rest of the league. I think that there's an opportunity for the Twins to bounce back in a very big way in 2023 with Correa at shortstop and really be able to solidify themselves as the head of this division. But as for this 2022 campaign, it was not exactly the way they expected it to go down. Now, as we look at the number 2 team on my list, it is that of the San Francisco Giants. Coming off of a 107-win campaign in 2021, you would expect the Giants to have bounced back in a big way and continue that push towards postseason success. However, after a decent start to begin the year, that would not be the case. The Giants found themselves really struggling and falling behind both the Dodgers and the Padres in this division. I think that going into 2023, there's going to be a lot of revamping that has to happen for this squad to get back to postseason contention. I think that there is some pieces to like on this roster, but they have to get back to being the franchise that really focuses on pitching and being able to acquire some starters, and even more so in that bullpen to really be able to help them solidify themselves as a postseason contender in 2023. With having extra wildcard teams, there's going to be an opportunity for the Giants to get back into the postseason, but they're going to have to find themselves an opportunity and offensively get themselves a little bit better in position to be able to go for it in 2023. Now, as we look at the number 1 most disappointing team for me in 2022, it is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. The simple fact is you have 2 of the best players arguably in Major League Baseball history in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. You also have some very solid players behind them, like a guy like Anthony Rendon. And yet you're unable to make the postseason year after year. There's going to be an opportunity now for the Angels to kind of revamp themselves and potentially be sold off, as we've heard comments from Artie Moreno, the owner of the Angels, that he is potentially willing to sell the team. A new owner may be able to come in and infuse some life into this organization and force their way back into a postseason picture. Right now, the Angels are extremely disappointing because you're wasting the prime years and the good years of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Trout has already now been injury prone the last several years and now dealing with a chronic back issue, which could predominantly stint his ability and his career path as we've seen it go so far. It reminds me very much so of what happened with Don Mattingly. I think that if Mike Trout is unable to really get himself back to being the healthy player that he once was to start his career, the Angels are really going to find themselves in a very, very bad spot when it comes to dealing with his $400+ million contract. You're also going to have to deal with the fact of the upcoming free agency of Shohei Ohtani. And while they were able to negotiate and avoid arbitration with the largest $30 million deal for a single arbitration year, there's going to be even more on the table for a guy like Shohei Ohtani, leaving the Angels as the most disappointing team of 2022, because when you have arguably two of the greatest players in Major League Baseball history, you have to make the postseason and put their skills on the national stage. Being unable to do so really makes you a disappointment to the sport, to the fans, and overall to your own team. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings on this down in the comment section below. Who are the most disappointing teams in your mind? Let me know this down in the comments, or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball to keep the conversation rolling. As always, keep it locked into the entire JLMG family with We Sibs, the Grand and Geek Show, and of course here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast by hitting the subscribe button on all 3 channels. For sticking around to this point, head over to baseballbanterbroadcast.com. Use the promo code BANTER to save 5% off your order. Keep it locked in all season as we continue to look at the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.